All righty, Claire.
How are you, Coach?
Good, thanks.
Great. Well, we will go ahead and get started this morning with John Finneran.
Okay, John, fire away.
Could you give us an update on Kyle Hamilton and any other possible changes on your two deep this week?
Yeah, Kyle is day to day. He is in a PPT program right now. Prayers and personal thoughts are welcome. And Ben is out. Ben Skoranek is out with hamstring. Um, those would be the two right now that are unavailable to us, other than day to day with Kyle right now.
All right, we'll move next to Eric Hansen.
Speechless.
Eric, I believe you're muted. All right, we can circle back to Eric in a moment, but right now we'll move to,
I'm here.
Eric, are you there?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize for being muted. My question is, you mentioned on Monday your hope was to get a deeper rotation of players in the back end of your defense. How do Houston Griffith and Isaiah Pryor fit into the safety picture? And also, could you update us on Lenzy and maybe even Kevin Austin?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we've got to be able to begin to see a lot more of those guys on the back end of our defense. Houston Griffith, certainly. I think you're going to see a KJ Wallace involved as well. He is now healthy from that preseason surgery and groin injury that he had been coming back from, like his presence back there as well. Isaiah Pryor as well, and there are roles for all of these guys, whether it's in a sub package or first and second down, and even in a rotation. So I expect to see Clark really working to get them involved in more of a rotation. As far as it goes with Braden Lenz, I think we had a good day with him yesterday. Hamstring injuries are such with, especially the skilled players, they have to feel comfortable and they have to feel a sense of being able to run out and do the things necessary at that position. A big thing for him is his speed and his ability to really push at the top end and get out of breaks. I think he feels that way now. He had a good day yesterday. Kevin Austin had his 6-week scan, showed good signs. He is now no longer in a walking boot. He is on the Alter G, so he has begun a running progression. We will do another scan. It's a new scan, low radiation scan that allows you now to do these scans every 2 weeks to see the progress. So we'll get one more scan done in 2 weeks, and at that time could be cleared to begin practicing. So good progress for Kevin Austin from that perspective.
We'll move next to Tim Priester.
Sorry. Brian, not to belabor the point about the blocking scheme stuff, but just to complete the picture, what's the reason behind adding more zone scheme and less pin and pull? Does it fit your offensive line and running back personnel better? Does that then in any way, limit your blocking scheme diversity, and how much pin and pull do you want to use moving forward?
Well, we're going to start with the base of what I want and what Tommy wants. And, obviously each coordinator has a sense of what they want. And then certainly my input. And I believe that Jeff Quinn has a say in this as well. So all three of us believe that, we start with the outside zone as our base play, and we'll start there. And then, you've got to be able to have those other schemes. You can't just be an outside zone play and that's all you do. We've got to be able to run the outside zone as our base, and then come back with pins and pulls and counters and misdirection. So it's where are you going to begin your teaching progression, and where are you going to start? And we believe with the size that we have, the athleticism that we have, the ability that we want our offense to look like with, utilizing multiple tight ends, and then the misdirection, the boots, the things that we want to do off of that. But that's what we believe is our system of offense from a running game perspective. So you're going to see that as our base, and then work off of that from week to week. But again, it's not just exclusively one scheme. It's that coupled with, as I mentioned, some pin and pull and some misdirection, some counter. And, I don't know that that's much different from, any offensive structure that you'll see throughout NFL and college football.
We'll move next to Austin Hough.
Hi, Brian. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. You talked about Charlie Weiss Jr. a little bit earlier in the week. I was wondering if you had any relationship with the Weiss family at all, and if you guys have been communicating at all during the week, if you do have a relationship with Charlie Sr. or Jr.
No, know him, have met Charlie on a number of occasions. We share a very common position here, a very, very unique position as the head coach. So from that perspective, that's really it. No, we don't talk regularly or have communication, but certainly respect anybody that has sat in this chair and know the kind of job that it is. So that's really it. And as far as, it goes with his son, just know that he's done a great job in a very short period of time.
We'll move next to Lou Samoji.
Good afternoon, Coach. Can you hear me?
I can, thank you.
Okay. Obviously, there's always a lot of talk about the starting quarterback at Notre Dame, but we haven't really heard anything on the progress. Both Brendan Clark and Drew Pine behind them. How has it gone, and how much would the offense maybe have to change if it necessitated that they go into the game?
Well, I mean, it's kind of an open-ended question as to what would change. We still have to score. We still have to be effective. Do you have to pare down some things? Certainly. But, like if we have 10 reps, right, between the first and second group, the first group's getting 6, the second is getting 4, and the next 4 are the same, they're picked from the first 6. So they're running the same plays, they're running the same offense, they're running the same game plan. So you're just shrinking it down, by a little bit, but they're involved in every meeting. They're involved in everything that we're doing on a day-to-day basis. So I think what you're looking at is probably you're going to run your offense. You're just going to probably narrow it down a little bit for them. And then again, it just comes down to confidence and execution. You got to build some confidence with them, and then rely on, guys around them, a very good offensive line, skilled players, that they don't have to go in and win the game on their own. They just can't lose it. And I think if you keep it in that perspective, either one of those guys can come in and do a fine job.
We'll move next to Patrick Engel.
Hey, Brian, you mentioned a couple weeks ago that the corners, even the older guys, have really benefited from Mike Mickens' teaching and his teaching style. What are some of the things that he's really focused on since he's gotten here that you saw show up in the game on Saturday?
Yeah, I thought we were an aggressive group in terms of on body with competing for throws. Any ball that was out there we were competing for. There wasn't a lot of space. I really like that about Mike in terms of, watching him and his teaching progressions. And then when we get a chance to go, I'm usually with the wide receivers or the offense, and, he's coaching the corners. And I just like his style of teaching. There's an aggressiveness to the corner play. And, I can see that in our guys, and they feel that the ball, when it's in the air, it's their ball. It's a mindset, right? It's developing that kind of mindset that they believe that they're going to take the ball away. And I just think that that's only going to continue to build as the season grows in that sense of, it's our ball. It's an aggressive approach to playing defensive back.
We'll move next to Pete Byrne.
Hey, Brian. Just curious how, in your estimation, you feel like practice has gone the last couple of days, and of the areas that you thought maybe your team wasn't as sharp as you would have liked in the opener, what have you seen in those areas that make you maybe a little happier than you might have been a couple of days ago?
Well, I think we've practiced pretty good. I think in terms of, what I'd like to improve on is we need to get off to a better start, in the game. Our practices have been really good, very purposeful. Guys have been locked in. Flipping from a practice mindset to a competition mindset is a big difference. And so I'd like to get sharper there. Our practices have been pretty good. I've been pleased with their focus, how locked in they've been. But we have to get off to a better start. We talk about 4 quarters of football. For us is get off to a good start, have an attention to detail, which our attention to detail wasn't great at times, especially defensively. We gave up some uncharacteristically big plays, which was about attention to detail. But the second half, which is effort and enthusiasm, was outstanding. And then we finished strong. Those are 4 quarters of football for Notre Dame, and that's always been our standard. We've got to clean up those first 2 quarters. So practice has been good. The focus has been good. When we flip to a competitive mindset, we got to be better in those first 2 quarters.
We'll move next to Timothyomalley.
Coach, can you discuss some of the challenges in terms of preparation when you have a new coach, 2 new coordinators from different schools, a transfer quarterback from Alcorn State, and probably a quarterback competition still going on for your opponent?
Yeah, and add Citadel to that list, right? Because you really don't get anything from the Citadel in terms of, what you're going to see defensively. That defense was set up to stop triple option. So, you don't get to see Glenn Spencer's defense. So you're starting to look at FAU film, Oklahoma State film, to try to get a sense and feel. You're just looking at really last week's film just to evaluate personnel. As it relates to the offense, they had a number of players out unavailable to them, so who's going to be available changes dramatically what the quarterback situation could look like. We've got to be able to shift just like we did against Duke, and be prepared to make adjustments. So a lot of uncertainties going into the game, but, we're preparing, as the team that ran for over, 300 yards. So obviously we've got to be really good against the run. And obviously be able to adjust accordingly throughout the game.
And next we'll move to Pete Sampson.
Brian, I was curious if South Florida goes at tempo, which I think Charlie Jr. would like to do. How does that complicate maybe an expanded rotation? And then the other one was on Ian Book. He talked about, maybe doing a better job at the layups last week. Mm-hmm. What goes into that? And is that something where you feel like, third-year starters should be sort of a unconscious competence in that part of his game?
Yeah, we're pretty adept at moving players in and out, with a fast tempo. We're prepared for it. We've repped it and gone against tempo quite a bit. We'll get our chances. Obviously, you've got to be prepared. If the game's moving fast, you've got to make sure your changes are, when it's in your zone, when it's close to your bench. We've been, we've played the Wake Forests and the teams that have that. So if they're going really fast, we know what mode to kind of kick into. We've practiced it this week. Getting stops, right? That's what you need to do, to get your rotation in and out and get them into third down situations so you can make those situational substitutions and force them to substitute as well is the best way to do it. They're going to have to substitute, and it allows us to substitute as well. As it relates to Ian Book, I think, more than anything else, probably just a little too amped up. And just needed to settle him down a little bit this week. A bit more patience in the pocket. Maybe a little too anxious to make some plays. I think he's had a really good week. I know he's had a good week, and recognizing that. And I expect him to, again, from my perspective, watching him this week, fully understands how some of those smaller plays turn into big ones. And he's got to make those for us, and I think he will.
And we'll end this afternoon with Angelo Di Carlo.
Coach, you kind of addressed it a little bit with the fact that you're not sure what to expect from USF in certain ways, but when you did look at their personnel, could you let us know some of the guys you felt that stood out strengths-wise on maybe each side of the ball, what their strengths are?
Defensively, outstanding linebacking core, both inside backers, physical, can run, veteran players that, I think if you talk about the strengths of their defense, inside backers and safety play, right down the middle. Corners are solid players. Remember, they've got a lot of transfers, I think almost 16 of them. And I think from a defensive line standpoint, moving in and out of guys right now, it's hard to get a great sense of who's playing because of, again, playing the triple option. But you can see guys that have great athletic ability that can run and hit. Offensive side of the ball, I mean, all their production was really from the quarterback and running back position. Really good backs. The quarterback obviously didn't throw it that much, but could certainly run it. So, athleticism, at the quarterback position, they were out 3 really good offensive linemen. If those guys play, they got 3 veteran linemen, big physical guys up front. So for us, it's really just about, taking care of our business and being prepared. And as I said earlier, we've got to get off to a better start offensively, get off to a fast start. And then from a defensive standpoint, do a great job against the run.
All right, we'll end it with that. Thank you very much, Coach.
Okay, thank you, guys.